Hey guys, what's up? This is Devin. This is the RBS Cinema post show called The Wrap, where pretty much I'm going to try to do this a little bit better of uploading these kinds of things. So for right now, they're going to be uploaded onto YouTube specifically. So it's only going to be on YouTube. But with that being said, be sure to follow the show on YouTube and as well as on Spotify, to where you can listen and also watch more of our content on this channel. So if you can't tell already, what I'm going to be talking about is my personal review of Ballerina. From the world of John Wick. So hence the reason why I have all of my John Wick steelbooks here on the table, as well as showcasing my poster as well. So with that being said, I'm going to do a spoiler-free review as well as a spoiler review for you guys. And I'll let you guys know when I'm actually going to talk about more spoilers about the movie specifically. So if you guys haven't seen the movie, I'll let you guys know when I'm going to start talking more in depth about the movie in general. So with that being said, let's go ahead and kick this underway. So I'm just going to talk about bare bones of what the movie is about with my spoiler-free segment, which is now. So I have it up on my computer. Basically, bare bones of what it is about. It is an assassin trained in the traditions of the Ruska Roma organization sets out to seek revenge after her father's death. And that is actually in the beginning part of the film. I'll get that out of the way. But it is also not directed by Chad Stahelski, which is not a bad thing, honestly. It's actually directed by Len Wiseman. Don't know anything about him that comes to mind, but he did a really, really good job with this movie. 100%. Really, really good. And then you got the writers Shay Hayton and Derek Kolstad. I believe Derek Kolstad also wrote the other John Wick movies. I don't know off the top of my head. But then you've also got Ana de Armas, of course, Keanu Reeves, Ian McShane, Angelica Huston, Gabriel Byrne, and Catalina Sandino Moreno. So just to name a few people, as well as Norman Reedus, who's also in this movie. But there's a bunch of other people. I'm just not going to go down the list of names just because it's going to take forever, right? But actually going into spoiler-free territory. So getting this out of the way, we already know that Keanu Reeves is in this movie. Okay, he's on the promotional material, being the posters, as well as the trailer. So that's not a surprise.
She sent you here to kill me?
Or you can leave.
I'm not leaving.
Your choice.
The reason why that he is there as a surprise is a surprise, because you don't really know specifically why he's there. All you know is that he's there basically to kill her, Ana de Armas, right? But other than that, you don't really know the specific reason why. So another big question that people also ask is, where does this fall in the John Wick franchise? Well, that falls in between 3 and 4. So there's no worries there. Specifically of where they are, don't really know for sure about the specific time frame of when she is having this endeavor in this film. I do really, really enjoy this movie, which I will actually get to my full in-depth review on it. Honestly, I lost my train of thought just now because my cat decided to come into my bedroom, and now I lost my train of thought. But I know that I was talking about chapters 3 and 4, but the way that they did this movie was really, really good. Okay? Really good action. Felt just like another John Wick movie, right? Really good action, really good storytelling, like another revenge story. Okay? Pretty much like it's just about her. Her dad dies, like I said in the description. Her dad dies. She wants revenge. She gets picked up by the director from the third movie that is in the trailers, as well as like, in the third and fourth movie as well, that helps John get from one place to the other with safe passage. But she is basically trying to find these people that killed her dad, and from a very young age. And so like the director trains her in combat and stuff like that, just like John Wick. So there's that. Honestly, there's not much I could really say without really spoiling it. For my spoiler-free review, I would say check it out for sure. So, I mean, if you guys really want my honest opinion, wait up until the very end after I get done talking about my spoiler review, which I'll put something somewhere to where if you guys want to cut ahead, that's fine. But moving on to the spoiler review, I mean, it's such a good movie, pretty much from the get-go. Her dad basically kind of just like fights like John Wick, like in a way, right? Because he was also trained under the director. So you've got that as well. So he's basically kind of like John Wick, but not really. He was pretty close to being the Baba Yaga himself. So, but honestly, with this being in the world of John Wick, but not specifically pointing out that it is John Wick, like I just can't say anything more than it's just like a great movie. It's a great time. There is that oh shit moment several times throughout this whole movie. Like, there's a part halfway through the movie where she is getting her gear together, right? Just like in any of the other John Wick movies, where he goes to the armory and he gets a bunch of like guns and weapons and stuff. Basically happens in this one, but the caveat to that and the oh shit moment of that is actually where she is getting told by the guy that is like giving her the weapons and everything, and then all of a sudden the whole place gets shot up. Now she has to basically get out of there to kill all of these different bad guys that she's been trying to get after, which is a part of a cult. And I was going to say Ian McShane because I have the names up on my computer, but that's not his name. Norman Reedus, who plays as Daniel Pine, is part of that cult, but he wants to get out, and they don't take kindly to people just like trying to leave their community, right? So she's going after them, and she needs gear, and in the middle of the guy that is telling her like, oh, like this is this gun, blah blah blah, whatever, the whole place gets shot up, and she's trying to look around for a gun, but all of the guns that they have there, as pretty much like in crates and stuff, she can't use any of them because they all don't have ammo. She doesn't know where it's at, so she finds grenades, like a whole case of grenades, and she just lets loose on all of these grenades that she found, as well as a belt of them. So that was really, really cool. It is showcased in the trailer. And so like she puts a grenade in a guy's mouth and puts him into a corner and hides behind a door, and then it explodes. And that's like super cool. And she uses just like all of these grenades to her disposal just to kill all of these guys that are trying to kill them in this artillery room, basically. You've never seen that in a John Wick movie, ever. You've never really seen him use grenades. He only uses like guns and knives and a bunch of other stuff that he can use, like a towel or a belt or whatever, right? But never grenades. So that was actually a breath of fresh air to be like, oh man, we're actually gonna have way bigger explosions in this one. So it's really cool that way. For her to get the information, she goes after Norman Reedus, Daniel Pine, who, again, like I said, is trying to get out of the community And again, like I said, they don't take kindly to that of you trying to leave the community. So it's him and his daughter Ella, who was played by Ava Joyce McCarthy, and he's trying to protect her. But the big bad guy, Gabriel Byrne, who is the Chancellor, he is the person that basically is running the whole cult. Like, he's the leader, right? And for him, Ella is his granddaughter. And so he goes like, well, I don't really want you to leave with my granddaughter, so I'm just going to try to get after you. And we find Norman Reedus at the Continental, at one of the Continentals. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was, but like, he's hiding out in one of the Continentals. They got a bounty out for his head for like $2 million. Then they double it for $4 million. Eve, who is played by Ana de Armas, she is trying to get information about like where she could find them. And for that, like, she rents a room right next to his, goes into his room trying to actually investigate to see, or whether question him, see where she can find them. And he ends up helping them to escape. But then Norman Reedus gets hurt by the cult, and they pretty much, like, it seems like that they kill him, but they don't. So by the end of it, like, he's actually fine. And Eve basically takes Ella to her dad by the end of it. Another thing that I wanted to point out was that this is between chapters 3 and 4, and it's because of the fact, like, they showcase in the trailer a couple times where John goes back to the theater to go and get his ticket torn, and Eve sees him on the stairs when they're talking about, like, oh, you did all this just for what, a puppy? And he goes like, it wasn't just a puppy.
All of this for what? Is a sabachke?
Это была не просто собачка.
So it's that scene specifically in chapter 3 where they're talking about that stuff on the stairway, or I should say the stairwell. And she confronts him after their talk, and his ticket gets torn, and so he asks for safe passage to get from where they're at to going to go see Halle Berry, basically, of where she's at in the movie, where she asks him, like, how do I start doing what you do? And, like, just like in the trailer, he says, like, you already have.
How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
But she goes like, but I don't really know if this is right. Like, if I should leave. And he goes like, well, there's the door, basically. And jokingly, like, you know, the door's not that heavy. It's not like you're stronger than the door. It's not that thick. You can just walk out. And because he's trying to push her away, but ultimately it has to be her decision, because he doesn't want her to end up like him. Right? Not necessarily on the run, not necessarily cashing in favors or anything like that, but he just doesn't want her to go down the same road that he was in that realm, right? And it's super cool of how they showcase that in the way of being like, you don't want this, so just leave, essentially. But she's in it for revenge. He wasn't. He was just like, we don't even know at this point, right? We don't know how John became in this world. We don't know what he did, what he was striving for, anything. We don't know anything as far as we're aware, right? So for him, it's a little different, right? But because that he got out, and then he's back in, and then he's trying to get out again. Like, even she said, like, you got out before. And he goes like, yeah, I'm still working on it. And again, at this point in the movie, he's still trying to get out of being excommunicated. Well, excommunicado. And, like, before he gets killed, because he has a bounty out for his head at this point, right? There's that was actually really cool to showcase. Another thing that I really liked was in the beginning part, like when she gets trained, and she's on her first assignment. That part was actually really cool because she's at the club, and just like in the first John Wick, she's doing the club scene. They give her rubber bullets as well. They don't give her live ammo, but she has rubber bullets. She takes out all these bad guys to rescue her ward, is what they call it, because before she goes out onto her first assignment, she gets trained on, this is your ward, like training simulation. This is your ward. You have to protect them at all costs. And multiple times she fails. She finally gets a hold of it. She finally actually wins and completes her training. Then she goes out to the club, protects this girl from these assailants, and cut to 2 months later, she is just cleaned up shot, okay? And here's the thing that we also never have seen before, was her getting money for a hit that she did. And that is also very interesting because, like, we've never seen John actually on the job before the first movie. So this is essentially what would happen if he was actually on the job in the first place. Because she's in this bathroom, it's 2 months later after her first training is complete and stuff like that, in her first mission. Cut to 2 months later, and now she's in this bathroom where she takes a picture of a guy on the floor and she gets paid for it. And it's like $75,000 or something like that. Or like, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was some thousands, if not millions of dollars or something like that. I can't remember. But she leaves this like hideout bar thing, something, and she gets in her car. She leaves, which is also has a guy pinned up against the wall that she crashed into, because like we don't see any of this. We just see the aftermath of this hit that she did. Okay, so she's driving, and the camera is still in the alleyway. So she's driving through the alley. She cuts through the street. All of a sudden, like, she turns, and then she gets slammed by this SUV of bad guys. And then we're just like right into the heat of battle, have no idea what's going on. And that is actually really cool. I really enjoyed that. That was really cool. Like I said, the club scene was really cool before that. But cutting forward, more towards the middle of the movie, she goes, and like I said already before, she fought the bad guys at the weapons depot or something like that, whatever you want to call it, artillery place or whatever, basically the showroom, right? After that, she, like, the guy that's running the shop goes like, okay, I know a general vicinity of where they might be, so go check over here. So she goes there, and the director calls her and goes like, hey, like, what are you doing? Can't be doing this. We have a truce between these guys. And she goes like, I don't care. I want revenge. And now she's acting out on her own. And that's the reason why that John Wick goes after her later on in the movie. So when she gets there, not everything seems right, because she almost hits a mom with her kid without paying attention because she's looking at a shop. And which is very strange because there's a kid that does finger guns and then just starts like shooting at her, which is very strange. What ends up happening is that she goes into the shop, she asks for a coffee, and then a bunch of guys start showing up and start trying to kill her. Well, yeah, the whole town basically tries to kill her, because next thing you know, like, one of the guys is trying to kill her. So she takes care of him. The girl that's running the cafe or the restaurant, she starts trying to kill her as well. And originally, and I think this is also the trailer too, where she goes like, I'm not trying to hurt you. And then she goes to like basically stab her with a knife and with a mallet and trying to hit her with that as well. She's trying to fight her and everything. And then she starts getting more and more of these village people basically, or these villagers coming in where they're trying to kill her as well. And so like, it's just really bizarre that this whole village is just trying to kill her, and it's awesome.
And you cannot change it.
But with that being said, they basically get the upper hand on her. They knock her out. They capture her, whatever. They don't know who she is or who she's with. Well, scratch that. They actually do know who she's with because of the tattoo that's on her back, just like with John, right? And for that, it's like this whole thing of where the Chancellor doesn't know who she is, but yet can feel something about her. And he goes like, okay, well, if we're at war, then so be it. But I'm not going to war if I don't know what's going on. And so he calls the director and is just like asking her about her. And she goes like, yeah, well, she's acting out on her own, so this doesn't matter to me. And he goes like, okay, well, that doesn't matter to me because this means that you broke a truce and now we're going to go at war unless you deal with it. And so she goes like, all right, well, I'll get it handled. So that's the reason why that John Wick is back again for the second time in the movie, is because that the director calls him to basically go and take care of Eve, Ana de Armas, to basically do this. Okay.
I can send someone to solve the problem.
The Baba Yaga.
And now it's at night, and because she's been hiding this whole time, and they're like, okay, he has up until midnight, and then whether he kills her or not, I'm just going to kill them both, or I'm going to have both of them killed, or whatever the fact. And with that, he's going after her, and then finds her and goes like, look, you can still walk away from this, okay? I'm not going to try and kill you if I don't need to. And they fight a little bit, and she tells him that like, well, the reason why that I'm doing this is for revenge because he killed my dad, so I want this opportunity to try to kill him. And he goes like, well, there's rules and consequences. So he gives her the ultimatum of being like, okay, well, you have up until midnight. Up until midnight, I have no choice but to kill you. And so she goes like, all right, cool. So then she goes, tries to kill all these guys, goes into this room where she gets a flamethrower.
Cool.
Now we have a flamethrower fight, which is also another cool thing that happens in this movie. So we have a flamethrower fight between her and this one dude that killed Norman Reedus, well, quote unquote, killed Norman Reedus in the beginning part of the movie. So that's really awesome. And again, never have we seen this before in any of the John Wick movies either. So, which again is another breath of fresh air. And the stunts that they did for this movie and the lengths that they went for it, even better. Like, that's awesome. But eventually she runs out of fuel, and he still has his flamethrower, and she finds a water hose, and so now you're trying to fight water with fire. And that whole sequence, and again, this is in the trailer where they're going, she's moving forward and so is he, so like they're trying to fight each other, with him with fire, her with water, and it's really cool of how they did that. But ultimately she gets the upper hand, she kills him and stuff. And, or no, rather, John kills him, because John is further back, like down the street, up on a ledge, and he kills him by shooting the propane tank in the flamethrower. And that was really cool. And the Chancellor gets tired of this, so he goes like, all right, fine, just kill John Wick, okay? Kill the boogeyman, kill the Baba Yaga. Well, these guys are going to start going up the stairs behind him, and so like he kills all of them. But the funny bit about this part is the fact that there's a couple of guys that are on the staircase, and one of them goes like, come on, let's go. And he goes like, no, that's suicide. That's John Wick. Like, are you crazy? And so he goes like, it'll be fine. And John just comes around the corner, just kills all of these guys. It's so funny. And then, so John goes back to where he was again, and just like basically he kills all these bad guys, gets back to his post, and in the midst of all of this, Ana de Armas is trying to kill the Chancellor, which goes into a car chase scene, and then finally she gets face to face with him, and she kills him. So rescues Ella, the Norman Reedus' daughter, and takes her away. And then it's like almost midnight when this happens too, so he was very, very close to actually killing her. So then she leaves, drops the daughter off for Norman Reedus, and now he's all better. He's like in a hospital or something, and she goes to this play, or this Black Swan show, because one of her friends in the program left because she, like, the director realizes, oh yeah, this isn't for you. You don't have the will to actually be here, so you're gonna leave. So you got to go figure out your own way around. And so like she got the part to be in Black Swan, and so Eve is watching her performance, and then all of a sudden she gets a text alert for a bounty out for her head, being like, I think it was $2 million if I remember correctly. And then now she's out on the run as well. So it's kind of like the whole John Wick like contract killing thing as well. So that I thought was actually really cool, of how that's like how they ended it, because it's like, well, she can no longer come back, and what is she going to do from now on? So there you go. But I think that's about it for me talking about the movie more specifically, you know. So this is actually my first time doing it, even by myself. So please let me know in the comments if you like me doing this. Obviously, I'll be a little bit more put together, but I hope that I could do this whenever there's a new movie that came out that I actually want to talk about more in depth. Like there's the Predators movie that just came out on Hulu. So I'm excited to actually watch that and talk about it and stuff like that. But with that being said, you guys, that's been my review. I would, out of a 1 to 10 star scale, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Okay? Just because of the fact that it's not that highly regarded compared to the other John Wick movies. Like, it's still on par with them, don't get me wrong, but it's a little step down from the actual John Wick movies. Out of all of these movies, my ranking for all of them is 3, 4, 1, and 2 for how they stand on my rankings of how I like them. So this would honestly get about a 5 out of the 4, just because, like I said, it's a little different paced than the other John Wick films. But again, you have all 4 of these movies to go back. It's just one big, huge, cohesive story. Versus hers, it's just one tiny sliver in the story of John Wick. So hence the reason why this is a spin-off, hence the reason why this is called The World of John Wick, Ballerina. But for all those reasons, being super action-packed, continuing on with the story that is in this world is really cool, showcasing a lot of other things that we don't see in this world in general, is really cool to see as well. So I love how it's showcased. I love how they go about seeing, like, you know, the contracts, how they get paid for it, all these other stuff, like how she's trained and all this bunch of other things. Like, for that reason alone, it makes for a really good time. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, I mean, that's basically my review. Like I said, let me know in the comment section below if you enjoyed the movie, if you haven't seen it but you're excited to go see it, or you're not going to see it. If you're not going to go see it, tell me why. You know, that's all that I ask. You know, if you're not going to see it, let me know why. Let me know your reason. Or if you're waiting for it to come out, this is my honest review. Definitely go watch it in theaters before anything else. Okay. So, with that being said, this has been the wrap. Check out my other actual full-length movie reviews that I have with me and my co-hosts, and other friends that I have on the podcast specifically. Be sure to leave a like, and share this with other people, either that they haven't seen it, or if you guys really enjoy the podcast, I really appreciate it. And, you know, subscribe to the channel. Again, this is only going to be on YouTube and not on Spotify. So, subscribe to the channel, both on YouTube and on Spotify as well. That's where you guys can check all the rest of my movie reviews that I have with me and my friends. So thank you so much for checking out my review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.